Well, good morning everybody, or good evening, or whenever you're listening to OzBuzz. I'm Ozzie Jurock, and I have the privilege to have a great community builder in the area of Surrey and the sub-area of Whalley with me. Charan Sethi came from England via India into Canada, started as a machinist, reinvented himself as a realtor, builder, and now developer. Welcome to OzBuzz, and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Thank you, Ozzie, for having me on this show, I say. It has been an amazing journey for us, being a machinist and then getting into sales, then getting into development, starting with a single family from 1 to 6 to 8, then townhouses, and now into condominium building, and hopefully early next year we'll be into high rises. So it has been an amazing journey. And there's a very short time of about 12 years.
Wow. So it is amazing. I mean, I'm preaching always we're growing into our own future best. Boy, that's quite a jump from machinist to maybe high rises.
I think it's all what you want to do, one wants to do. I think that's where I'm to, and I'm happy at what I do, and I think the timing for us has been absolutely phenomenal. Having an opportunity to go into place like Whalley and do a total redevelopment is a phenomenal opportunity for anyone, provided they believe that they.
That's right. You had to have the vision, right? You had to see something there that nobody else saw. I mean, it's funny. It's easy to say later on how good it is. Today, for instance, you look at Vancouver, Yaletown. It's the place to be. We forget that 20 years ago nobody wanted to live there. And we have many areas like that in the world where it takes an innovator and a thinker and a visionary. And you were that guy. You went into Whalley and slugged it out. I mean, what sort of are the challenges of developing a so-called tough area or bad area?
I think, again, I'm always a guy who looks at the positive things of anything than the negative. Still reminding myself, yes, I have these challenges to deal with, such as homeless people. We had somewhere between 100 150 homeless people in the area, camping on the road, streets, and littering and break-in entries, those sort of things, challenges. But the area actually has a lot of history behind it. People forget that. People tend to focus on negative part of it, and the same as Yaletown. Yaletown was probably much worse than Whalley ever was. And prostitution, murders, and drugs, and so forth. And you're right. Yaletown is where people want to be
today. Yeah.
Today.
But somebody had to have that vision, and that's the same with Whalley. I mean, when you started out, there really was no Surrey city center yet per se, right? You had to have a vision of the future development. And I know that you believe in being transport-oriented developer, right? Your units have to be close to major communication, and Whalley had that.
Transport-oriented development is probably one of the most important things all over the world. Public transportation is the key. The next generation, besides us old people, they don't want the cars. They don't want the headache of owning a car. They don't want to pay for the car. Yeah. They don't want to have to take the care of the car, because if they're close to public transportation, they actually use it. My daughter lived in Yaletown. She got rid of her car against my will. So even though I said to her, I'll pay for the insurance, I'll look after it, I do this. She said, no, Dad, there's public transportation, I can walk to everything. Yeah. So a Whalley development is like that.
Exactly.
They can walk to pretty much everything.
About 7 minutes to the station?
It's a 5-7 minutes walking distance, depending how fast you walk. I can do it in 5 minutes. And you can be downtown in 40 minutes. So it's as fast as a car, if not faster, without the headache. You can sit on a SkyTrain, relax, and be downtown.
There's no question. And I mean, my grandson is the same. He says, why would I have a car, Opa? You know, he says, I can rent one for $80 a day. It includes insurance and gas. And I say, maybe it's not such a silly idea. But the key also was you were able to assemble the land at a more reasonable price, although there's no land that's reasonable in the city of Vancouver. But you were able to, because of the tougher feeling, you were able to get it at a price which then allowed you to build an affordable unit. I remember I was a judge at the Fraser Valley Building Awards, and you won several awards because of from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board Commercial Division. And then of course you not only just built regular condos, you looked further afield and became even more innovative.
Yeah, so while we're selling out Quattro 1, 2, 3 building, our database of buyers waiting for more units to come along was about 18,500 people. And we started looking into the database and saying, why aren't these people buying? What are we missing here? So at that point, we decided to take a look at what the income levels are, or possible income levels are. Of course, we don't know that, we're kind of guessing. And the guessing paid off because we figured out so many people registered, they couldn't afford to buy because their income level is somewhere between $16 to $25 an hour. So what we did was we worked out the equation backwards and say, what can they afford? What is the price they can afford? So we came up with the microsuite, the project called Balance.
That was the first in Canada, wasn't it?
It was the first stratified. Now, people all around the world have been building microsuites down to 100 square feet.
Yeah.
But nobody's ever really in North America done stratified, which means ownership. They've done rental buildings, lots of them. And all we did was basically took that concept and said, okay, how can we take this concept and make sure that it's now affordable for these people? And we built and it was one of the most successful projects for us there as well, because we started off selling from $109,000 to $129,000. That's unthinkable. What we were able to sell for
in today's world. And the thing is, you get pride of ownership. I just drove by the building a couple of weeks ago, and I look at the cars that are in front, and it looks like it's fully occupied. The building looks really nice. It's a credit to you to build it, and I don't think the city though wants to build more of them, right?
No, because their thinking is that, the planners' thinking is that if you build too many of these small units, it's going to become a ghetto. I don't believe that. I believe that you're building a much smarter community, more environmentally friendly community, because I was in Surrey City Hall last week and I saw a writing on the wall, literally a writing on the wall by one of the car share program. It says, every one of these cars replaces 10 cars on the road.
Wow.
I thought it was 5, but they said it's 10. They're in the business, so they know. So we have to be more environmentally friendly. We can't keep on putting cars on the road. Public transportation is environmentally friendly. It's mostly electric, so basically there's no pollution to it. So it is happening. All the shared car programs, most of them are electric now as well.
That makes sense. There's no question. Well, certainly BC Housing agreed, because they gave you an Excellence in Innovative Housing Award for the microsuite building. But that's really only one. How many units were that?
Only 56.
So 56 out of some almost 800 units.
That's right.
In total. But you're also planning to maybe go into the high-rise world?
Not maybe. We are going to be doing that next year. We will be going to do that next year. I think it's important to take advantage of the location to densify and provide commercial. So our thoughts are, which is basically we provide a bedroom community with the commercial space at the bottom. So that becomes their living and dining room, and they go and live upstairs. It's not about the size anymore. It's about owning a piece of real estate, being able to live in your own space, and then have the pleasure of walking to everything. And I think that's where we are going with it.
How many units would be possible to?
We are looking at somewhere around about 1,300 units so far. It may increase depending on how far we go with the height allowances. So with the new mayor and council in Surrey right now, they are looking for more density. So we may actually increase the height of the buildings. But we are looking at somewhere about 1,200, 1,300 units.
But once that's built, that has changed the whole flavor of that whole side of Wally in a dramatic fashion, because that's even closer to the transportation, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think what will happen is when you start building a community which has commercial space on the ground level, it changes the flavor totally, because now it's more user friendly. The streets are animated, so people are walking all around. One of the streets which we are creating in the two building that we, or three building we're putting in, we're actually going to be calling it a pedestrian street.
Yeah,
it's a street, so cars can still go on it, but it'll be only limited to emergency vehicles. So that street will be built as street, but it'll be like an open, so it's a promenade for the area.
Well, that concept is actually very European. I mean, in Europe there isn't a street that doesn't have commercial on it. My hometown is Cologne, and for 25, probably 45 years, the whole downtown area has no cars. People are just used to parking on the edge of the environment, and then they walk and shop and live, and there's no cars at all inside. And I think we're going that way, right? That we need to, and that was your thinking already, of course, several years ago, that you have to have accommodation close to transportation. I love the idea of the walking road in your development.
Yeah, I think with the pedestrian road promenade, I mean, I've seen in several cities. My main one, which I always love whenever I go down to visit my daughter in Santa Monica, it's a wonderful environment. They actually have now set up little coffee shops and restaurants right in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And this animated, there's all sorts of entertainment. I mean, their weather is different than ours, but we will be able to do things even in our weather that is going to be really exciting for the people who are going to move into the area. Now, whether they're tenants or whether they're owners, it doesn't really matter. And we're looking at a new generation of people who don't care for big backyards and front yard. They don't want that. They want to be able to enjoy it. You know, when I asked my daughter to come up with a name for our new building, which is Balance, and at that point we didn't know what to call it. So I called her up and said, honey, this is what we're doing. And she said, Balance.
Yeah.
So I said, because every name has to have a reason why it's been done. And she said, Balance. I said, you got to explain what this balance is. She said, we like to enjoy our life.
Yes.
We like to have a balanced life. We like live, work, and play is what we like to do. So we don't do, like if it's one person, two people living in a condo, we're not going to do a lot of cooking, because it's cheaper to go to a restaurant to get some food and eat there and join other friends. So what we do is we call a bunch of friends, do you want to come and eat? So we go to a restaurant and we eat together. So I think having those type of facilities in the area is very important. And that's what we are up to right now, is planning those live venues, where people can actually be in touch with each other.
Yeah.
We don't want to build an isolated city. The city of Vancouver is now, by a number of studies, have been known as a very lonely city, because they have not given that concept together. Unlike Yaletown has all the commercial downstairs.
Flavor,
they have that flavor. Yeah. But other parts of Vancouver doesn't have that.
You're so right. I mean, I live in Yaletown, and we only moved back there, I guess, about 3 or 4 years ago, and there's 40 restaurants and lots of things to choose from. But you know, when you look, and we've come as a country, we have moved out of town, right? We moved into the suburbs. And then you live in a beautiful house, but you don't know your neighbors anymore, right? And you do need the car to get there. And then, well, we moved into the small town because we wanted to see more cows. And we realized we wanted to see the cows, but we didn't want to smell them, right? So there's actually a drive underway of people moving back to town, and moving back and without all the appendages of maybe 2 cars or 3 cars per family sometimes, and into developments that something like you develop. Now, on that road to get to the stage now, what lessons did you learn?
Don't listen to the naysayers.
Yeah, that's the big one.
There's a lot of people out there who will tell you what's wrong in the world. Focus on what you are. If you truly believe in what you're doing is the right thing, go for it. Yeah. Don't turn around and I've had many people tell me, you know, you're going cuckoo or something, developing in Wally, and it's not that I want to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I don't listen to them. I don't. It goes from one ear to the other ear. I mean, there isn't much in the between my two ears anyway, but it goes through really fast. And I think having the determination and being focused, and I think if one can stay focused on where they want to go, one will reach its goals. And I'm a perfect believer in that. I think anything I've put my mind to it in the past, and I hope will continue to do so, we will achieve.
Yeah, and that's, you know, well, Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve, right? And so that believing portion. But I remember the old mayor, who's now become the new mayor, actually walked the site with you, right? At the time when you were assembling really this very large piece of land. And you were telling me some of the challenges. You even went to collect some of the rents yourself to see what kind of people lived in the general area. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that was an interesting time because one, I'm a little bit nervous because there's too many naysayers telling me no. So I did have a meeting with Mayor Diane Watts at that time, and she was very encouraging to continue on with the development, which we did. And making a call to Doug McCallum, who is now the mayor,
right,
was a very important one because he actually was the one who started cleaning the area up. So he had a three-strike system. Basically, you have a drug house, he's going to give you one strike, don't do it. Second strike, no. Third strike, he's going to bring the bulldozer down and knock the house down. That was it. So I had
that consequence.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting with him. I called him up. I said, Mr. McCallum, you know, this is what you've done. I'd love to meet with you. Yeah. He was very courteous and actually showed up on site and told me what he's done. It solidified my thoughts even more that
there was a future there.
There's a future here. There are people out there who believe mentally this needs a change. It will have to change. All I needed was somebody to guide it to make it happen, and I suppose we were the perfect candidate to drive it through. And our belief solidified more and more as we sold every building in record time.
Yeah,
I mean, our first building, 140 units, we sold in 4 hours. Second building, 116 units, we sold in 67 minutes flat. And that's not doing any pre-sale. That was the one day. I was in the back, people writing offers at the front, and I was signing for 67 minutes.
Well, that just proved that you were right. People were supporting you with their money. They said, hey, I get it. You know, I'm close to transportation. The price is right. The area is good. And you created a little community, a little park and playgrounds and all that in the inside the building. So who else helped you in the development process or the redevelopment process?
I think everybody. I think everybody's been amazing. I think they see us as somebody who was missing out of that area, somebody who they needed somebody to guide it. So we had community behind us, absolutely phenomenal community. We have third generation people living in the neighborhood. The mayor and council, Diane Watts, was amazing, instrumental in helping us speed the application through fast. The city staff, our bankers, amazing, a bunch of people that they believed in my dream and they followed with it, and then we proved them that they bet on the right horse, per se. And because every building was pre-sold 100%. I mean, as you're aware of it, the last building, which was Maverick, 125 units, we sold in less than 7 hours. And again,
that's in 2018.
That's just a few months ago.
That's different prices than the original buildings were at, right?
Oh hell, yeah. Oh hell, yeah. It's been amazing, and people still look at it. Oh, maybe you did something different. Maybe you did. No. We just did a simple marketing campaign. We didn't even do any print media out there. We just reached out to people who believe in Wally, and people came and they bought. And we just closing on our last building, which is Venue, 141 units. Its closing is happening as we speak.
Right.
And
I'm closing mine next week.
there you go. So, you know, you brought in a whole bunch of friends and family and bought in there as well. And they've seen a tremendous growth even before they paid for it.
Yeah, it's quite.
So I'm actually going to be sending a letter to every each one of them. Can I get some money back?
Yeah. It's no, there's no question that. But everything that's new takes some driver. It takes a driving force. Sometimes I see it an outsider coming in and saying, "Hey, how come this? Nobody did this before." You see that vision, you know. I mean. And that has been your strength, but also I noticed the team you have built. You know, you seem to really close your construction crew, and you know, you have your son working with you. But everybody in the group seems to be professional and caring, right? You can talk to everybody. It's not sitting on your high horse in a downtown high-rise directing traffic. You're right in the middle of it.
I think having a vision is one thing. Having a team to carry out that vision is another.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, the city staff, the community, the bankers, they're all on board. But if my team is not on board, it's not going to happen. So our team believes in what we're doing. They don't talk negative at all. There are, of course, there are challenges like anything is. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you don't feel so good, but you got to make yourself feel good, right? Mm-hmm. So there's always challenges, and we do have a phenomenal team. I don't call them my employee; they're part of my family, extended family, and it's important. And I treat them like the same way as well. And I do have one of my boys working with me, but we've got our controller, Pete Stringer. I mean, he's with me for 17 years.
Yeah.
You know, Franco, who's in charge of our construction, I think he's been with 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, so we do have long-term people who are working with us, and they all believe. And it's a wonderful feeling when you complete a building and you stand across the road and you admire what you've done.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's why I keep telling you, I think, you know, it shouldn't be Wally Boulevard or Wally Boulevard Center, whatever. You should have a TienSher or Charan area, if it was me. But the thing is, like, all my life I've been in the sales and marketing thing. So I've marketed a lot of buildings and redeveloped. But you built something new. You stomped it out of the ground. You really can be proud of it. You stand across the street and says, "I did this," right? And then you have new visions like high rises, my goodness, and growth, but always with the community at heart. And that sort of, I think, is unique because everybody's always down on Wally, just like they were down on other areas. You saw something here. There's a history. The guy came and built a little grocery store and you know, brought people here. And now into Surrey, somewhat 1,000 odd people a month move here. The city center has a university, all of that stuff, and new development is right in the middle of it, on the forefront of it. So,
yeah, no, I think there's a lot going for us. I think having the opportunity to take such a large piece of land and develop actually a complete community, and we are very, very much fabric of the community. We get involved in pretty much everything. I sit on an advisory committee for RCMP. I'm on one of the board of directors at Surrey Downtown Business Improvement Association. I participate and a member of the Surrey Board of Trade. So I do get involved with a lot of little community events as well, because I feel it's important for, anyway, I feel it important for me that as a developer, I just don't sell condos. I actually build a community up and know the people, know what they feel.
You're part of it.
Yeah, and then whoever's coming into the area, we want them to be part of the area as well. I mean, so everything we do is about the people that move or invest into our projects, because they're the future generations of that area. Now, whether they're whether they're investors, whether they move in, they are part of that community. Yeah. And I think it's very important to make that happen. And if I was to just sell the units and move on to the next one, I don't know whether me as a developer, I would feel good about it. I certainly feel good about it, and I can boast about it that this is what I do.
Well, I think it's so true when you look at each individual building. I mean, you have extra security that you started in the Quattro, I think, at one point. You built pressurized hallways. So if I cook my good old German sausages and you cook your Indian food, Our smells stay inside the suite. You have 9-foot ceilings in your unit, which is sort of used to be the luxury unit of Vancouver, and some of them have 10 feet, you know, in the units. And so when all the things that you do, whether you have, you know, the center of where all your electronics goes, so it's easier to put in your router for you're part of the new world, and people that live there realize that this developer has been thinking about how I will live in this suite.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, we've tried to build everything we ever have done in the past and hope in the future is that if I ever ended up having to live in that community, I will feel happy about it.
Right.
So like the Maverick project, we've designed absolutely amazing ground floor entertainment community space. Yeah. So it not only is indoor but outdoor. So it kind of flows outdoor as well. It's beautiful. The venue building, which people are moving in now, it's got 2,500 square feet of rooftop.
And fabulous views and a barbecue.
It's
and
absolutely amazing. Like I was actually surprised when I did a tour of the finished building about 2 weeks ago. And I thought, wow, I think I undersold this building. Because
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, because it's you know, it feels so nice to have that community space, and all the people live in it will be able to have that space for themselves to enjoy.
Yeah.
And
so even if you had a smaller unit, you're really very easy to enjoy the space of living that you've created for everybody else.
Ozzie, in today's world, it's not about how big of a unit it is.
Yeah.
It's how functional it is and what the other facilities are in the building. Yeah. So in the venue building, we have a really nice gym space.
Yeah.
We have upstairs like a yoga room, an entertainment room on the roof deck, and the roof deck as well. So it's, I think putting those elements into the buildings make it much more livable. Forget this you know, you want a 20 by 20 bedroom.
Yeah.
Waste of, I mean, I'm building my own house and people taken through, I take some relatives and friends through my house which is under construction. My bedrooms are small.
Yeah.
On a big house, they're small.
Well, we don't live in the bedroom.
Yeah, bedroom you go and relax and go to sleep. Whereas you want the entertainment. So we're acting the same way in our new buildings. We want to make sure their living space is beautiful.
Yeah. So look, this is a great journey, and it's still a great journey. And a lot of challenges. Was it worth some of the pain that you suffered through the early stages?
I think it makes one stronger. You know, when if you remember way back, we had a fire about 8 years ago. One of our building was under construction in the installation stages, and roughly about $12 million worth of work was done. Yeah. And a fire happened. It burnt the building down in front of my eyes in 1 hour.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, I mean, talk about something sad happening to you, something terrible happening to you. Yeah. You know, like I was literally half a block away. I could feel the heat in my face.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and we were all, I know a couple of my staff was actually in tears because we have so much emotional attachment to our developments. And I had to hold my tears back because, you know, when you see $12 million being burnt right in front of your eyes, it's hard on you. The media, of course, you know, they want to hit you and they want to paint the negative stories about it. And I said, basically, I was put in front of the media by my PR company that said, Charan, you got to talk to them. I said, what am I talking? He said, I'm gonna cry. He says, then cry, for heaven's sake. You know, if you're emotional, you're emotional. What are you going to do about it, right? Sure. So I went in front of the media and said, this is what's happened, and it's unfortunate. The best thing that happened tonight is that nobody got hurt.
Right.
Nobody got killed, which is the best thing that can ever happen, because last thing I want to do is somebody get killed in that fire.
Oh, yeah, terrible.
That didn't happen, and the question was, what are you going to do now? And my answer was, I'm going to rebuild it.
Right, and everybody rallied behind you. Your staff, the workers,
and we had absolutely amazing support from our trades. We had a large meeting with our tradespeople, gathered them up in a big room, and in fact at the Flamingo Hotel, and said, this is what's happened, guys. What are we going to do? Are you guys all going to help me out, build it out? And at that time I did break down, and I'm ready to break down now, actually. But it was a tough time, and everybody said, Charan, step back. Yeah. You look after the city, permits and financing. let us do the building. I did not step back into the building till it was in drywall stage, believe me.
Yeah.
I was
to where it was.
To where it was, because I was scared. I was internally they gave me a very bad feeling. But city, the mayor, the council, our consultant, our trades, our bank. I mean, basically everybody was behind it. Even the buyers, and say, what?
So we'll wait.
This happened. We'll wait. You know.
And you rebuild it in record time. You know.
Yeah, so we made our insurance company very happy because we built the building at certain cost. We saved some money to what we were allowed to spend on our rebuild, and so everybody it was a win-win. But what came out of it at the end of the day is that you truly see at that time in that sense of time that there is a lot of good out there.
Yeah,
a lot of good out there. And people forget that. People just focus on that 5%.
Yeah. It seems today we need more of focusing on the good, you know, focusing on the future. And you came through a tough time, and it helped you to have all these people around you and all these different agencies to say, hey, let's rebuild it. And that's what happened.
It's been an amazing journey. I am stronger for it. My community, my team, my family, everybody's much stronger for it because we came through that time, because there was a number of people around me who said, Charan, you're going to go bankrupt right now. And I said, step out of my way. You know what? And you know, the insurance company came through really fast and looked after us and rebuilt the building.
And since then you built another 150 or 200 units. And well, the big thing is, I know that you have also a great feeling about your body. You were into bodybuilding, and that takes goals, and that takes you know, well, a plan. You know, how am I going to look? What I want to do? And I think you've transferred that into the rest of your life as well. So, what would be the final advice you want to give to our listeners?
I think my bottom line is stay focused.
Yeah.
Stay focused. Don't listen to the naysayers. You are going to, if you're going to listen to the news all the time, that's all you're going to get conditioned. They're going to tell you that 5 people died in Africa. Reality is, yes, they are. We're sad. These things happen around the world. But how much does it really affect your day-to-day life? How much does it affect your family? How much does it affect your financial well-being? And how much more important, how much does it affect your mental health?
All right. If you concentrate always on this barrage of bad news.
Yeah, and it's sad, you know, the way the media it does things. And I think if media, every day they do tell us stories which are happening bad around the world, and it's good to know what's going on in the world because it's important. We can maybe influence some things, some changes ourselves. I wish the media would at the end of every newscast or something, just throw in some positive things which human beings have done.
Well, the old story is, you know, we have always 2 ways to look at things, right? That we always looking, the negative seems to get us more involved. It's not, can't win any brownie points on ratings if you talk about nice things. And yet that's what we all need a heck of a lot more. I like your thought about being focused in a positive way. You know, it's not just positive thinking, but you have to have you call it a clear path. And you've had this certainly in Volley for way before what it is now. And I know that under your direction, it'll do fabulous things into the future. So thank you so much for coming and joining me. And as we always say at the end of our podcast, live your life large. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.